Hey everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully you guys are doing good, and hopefully you guys are having a good Monday night. As always, I like to start off the videos by saying I want to thank everybody out there, all the essentials out there, the nurses, doctors, scientists, truck drivers, grocery store workers, fast food workers, anybody and everybody that's working right now to trying to keep this country going on its wheels, man. And you guys are some heroes out there fighting the unknown. We don't know what we're dealing up against, but you guys are fighting up the good fight, and we're all praying for you. We're all cheering you on, and hopefully this whole thing goes through quickly. And then, as always, wash your hands before every meal and after every meal. If you sneeze, carry some hand sanitizer with you. It's a miracle worker out there. And for the ones that are quarantined right now, hopefully you guys are keeping safe, keeping your body right, keeping your mind right. And if we all just work together, you know, this thing's going to go over quick. And we just got to work together to make this thing go away. And before you know it, we'll go back to some normal life, We'll go back to our normal lives, and it's going to be amazing. Again, from yesterday, I do want to say happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. You guys deserve everything and much more for dealing with the kids and the husbands and all that stuff. So you guys are true superheroes in your own right as well. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and let's get this show started. So today we are going to talk about the AFC North. It is their turn. It consists of the Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Me personally, as a fan, I love this division. There's a lot of history in this division. There's a lot of hatred in between the divisions. If you really know the history of this, this division, there's a lot of hatred in between it. So, we're gonna get started. I do want to bring in my guest now, David Marquez. For the people that don't remember, he was my guest for when the Steelers were on the mock draft, and he's agreed to do the show again. So, David, I thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, I don't know if you've seen the videos recently of how this works, but how it works is we start with the division winner, and then we go lower and lower. So, you're going to be second because unfortunately the Ravens did win the division, So, you're going to have to just sit tight. You're just going to have to hang tight a little bit, okay? I'll be fast. I promise. But, you could chime in anytime you want, talk about the Ravens schedule too. You could chime in. So here we go. Week 1 for Baltimore. They got a home game against the Cleveland Browns, week 1. Week 2, they got to go to Houston. And then week 3 is already one of the top 10 games of the year. Chiefs or Ravens on Monday Night Football. I mean, I'm excited for that. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Tyreek Hill. I mean, you name it, man. Mark Ingram's going to be out there. It's going to be great. I cannot wait for this game. This game's going to be super exciting, and it's on Monday night. So after that hard day at work, everybody just come home as fast as you can. Open up a cold beer, get your food going, and let's watch this game together. It's going to be exciting. Week 4, they got to go to Washington to play the Redskins. Week 5 at the home against the Bengals. Week 6, they got to go to Philadelphia. Week 7, they got to have a home game against the Steelers, and then Week 8 is their bye. What a lot of people don't know about the Ravens is their schedule. They are the least traveled team this year. They don't have to go that far. They only have about 6,500 miles of traveling. To put that into perspective, the Ravens would have to play their whole schedule 4 times to almost equal 1 time of the Seattle Seahawks, who travel the most this year. And honestly, what the schedule makers did, halfway through the year, the way I see it, honestly, they could finish 7-0 by the time their bye week hits. And I know I have David on the line here where the Steelers are week 7, but I hate to say this, Browns, that's a win. Houston, I don't know what they're all about right now, so that might be a win. The Chiefs might be a tough one, but I think they'll get them only due to the fact that they're at home. Washington, that's a win. Bengals, that's a win. Philly, win. Pittsburgh, depending if Big Ben is there or not, that might be a win. So, I mean, I think the schedule makers just threw Baltimore freaking a bone here, and I think they're just going to start out 7-0. Week 8 is their bye.
I think they're gonna take that loss against the Steelers going into the bye week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you guys
no bias either. I'm just saying.
Because you guys totally handled them last year, right?
Hey, last year was last year. The whole new vibe this year.
All right. I'm just saying, I mean, is Big Ben gonna be there? I would love to know.
He'll be there.
Okay.
if not, hopefully Cam Newton's still on the.
I mean,
on the grab.
And you know what? That is something I did want to talk to you when it is your turn, because I had Roy on a couple of days ago, and he actually had some interesting, perspectives about Cam Newton. But when we get to you, I want to know what you're thinking of Cam Newton is. So, week 8 is the bye. Coming off the bye, they have to do back-to-back road games. Week 9 is at the Colts. We don't know how Phillip Rivers is going to be. We don't know how they're going to look like. So that's going to be interesting to see. Week 10, they got to go to New England again for a Sunday Night Football game again, which they'll probably win again because it's just that's what Baltimore is. I think they're the only team that I know that can hang with the Patriots on prime time. I don't know. They're just always that good against them. Week 11, they got to go up against the Titans, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, we all remember that infamous shot of Derrick Henry turning Earl Thomas into a lead blocker for him. So, I'm excited for that one. I mean, we'll see if Earl gets his revenge in that week, and then they have to brush up and do a quick turnaround because they're on the road again against the Steelers for a Thanksgiving showdown. I know you're excited for that one, right?
That's my game of the year.
That's it. Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Thanksgiving.
Then week 13, they got to go to Dallas for a Thursday Night Football game. And then week 14, they got to go to Cleveland for a Monday night matchup against the Browns. And then that's kind of honestly, that's really the only negative I see on the schedule is 3 straight road games. But not only that, it's all on prime time. They got to go to the Steelers on Thanksgiving. They got to go to Dallas next week for Thursday Night Football. Then they got to go to Cleveland for a Monday night matchup game. That's a lot of days, man. That is a lot of days where they got to keep playing and all on the road. That's rough. To me, that's rough. I think that's rough. I think that might be their weakness right there is from weeks 12 to 14, and then 15 they got to go up. They got home against the Jaguars. Week 16 they got the Giants, and week 17 they finish off the year at Cincinnati going up against the Bengals. They're going to get off to a hot start just by like the way their team is set up and the way their team is, how the schedule makers threw it out there. The only tough part of the season schedule I see is that 3 straight primetime road games. Thursday night Thanksgiving against the Steelers. That's always, a battle. Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys the following week. And then about 11 days later, they got to go to the Cleveland for another tough divisional game against the Browns on Monday night. So overall, I think the best case scenario for the Ravens, again, David, if you want to cover yours for this one, 13-3. I could see them going 13-3, and then worst case scenario, 11-5, and they still make the playoffs. It's just the team's loaded. With the free agencies that they did, the moves they made, the draft they had, and the way the schedule came out for them, the NFL gave this team a huge break, and that's what it's looking like. The way I'm looking at the schedule, 13-3, best case, worst case, 11-5. There's no way this team has a losing record.
No.
It's just no. I'm already having people telling me it's like, well, we'll see if Lamar Jackson can keep it up. It's like, look, I'm going to tell everybody the same thing I told everybody. When he was in the ACC and he had to play against my Hurricanes, every defensive coordinator said the same thing. They're going to figure out Lamar Jackson eventually. He ended up winning the freaking Heisman. His first year after he took over for Joe Flacco, they're going to figure out freaking Lamar Jackson. Well, he started, and then he went on to be the NFL MVP. Now it's like, we're going to figure out Lamar. No, you're not. You're not going to figure out Lamar Jackson, okay? Like that, just drop it. People have been trying to figure out this dude for the last freaking 4 years. Just let it go. Just, you can't figure him out. The best you could do is just try to contain his butt because he's just that good. All right? Like, look, I seen him play in college. Nobody figured him out. Took over for Flacco. And if it wasn't for that switch, the Steelers would have not even made the playoffs that first year he went. And then his second year, or his first full year as a starter, he goes on to win NFL MVP. You're not going to figure him out. You're not going to figure it out. Just, you can only hope to contain him because how the NFL is being set up now, where college spread offenses are working their way into the NFL, the Ravens are going to play to his advantage. And with Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator, he can't lose. So, again, 13-3, best case, worst case, 11-5. And honestly, it's just those 3 road games I see their weakness, and they don't even travel that much. So, not that hard for the Ravens to possibly win the division again. So, let me know what you guys think on the Ravens there. So here we go, David. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're up, my man. So here we go. Week 1, you guys got to go to New York to play the New York Football Giants on Monday Night Football, man. I mean, you cool with that?
Yeah, Big Ben is butter on Monday night. and it's gonna be his first game back. Oh yeah, that's a win.
You know, I'm kind of hoping that Eli Manning maybe pulls like a last second thought and maybe he comes back to the Giants just to see Eli versus Big Ben one more time, but I don't think so. I think Eli's content with himself, so I think he's good. Then let's see. Week 2, you got to go head up to, or no, actually you come home.
For Denver home opener?
Yeah, your home opener is against Denver, and then you stay home again against the Texans. So, you know, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, man.
3-0.
I think the Broncos might be the only game that'll probably give you a little bit of trouble.
Nah, our defense is superior at home.
Yeah, but I mean, the Broncos look good, man. The Broncos.
When Renegade goes on, it's game time.
I mean, look, you don't have to worry about it. Tim Tebow's not going to be there to like ruin your freaking, home chances anymore. But they have Drew Lock, and then they did upgrade that offense for him, and that defense for Denver's coming back stronger. You guys will probably win, but it won't be like one of those like you win by like 10, 13. It's probably going to be one of those by 4 or 3, something like that. Because the Broncos are really good, and I think people are going to be really surprised on how good the Broncos are going to be this year. Then week 4, you guys have to go to Tennessee to face the runner-up in the AFC Championship game. Week 5 and 6, back-to-back home games against the Eagles and Browns. And then week 7, you guys got to go to Baltimore. And then week 8 is your bye. Honestly, I can see you guys going 7-0 as well. I mean, the only question mark is, if Big Ben goes down, I already know what your other quarterbacks look like, and it is not pretty. It is not pretty. That's my only concern is, Big Ben is like the Steelers are like one Big Ben injury away from the season being totally dismantled again.
I think with the rest that Big Ben has had, I think we're good. I think he'll be okay.
I hope so, because I forget what show it was. I think it was the Colin Cowherd show, and they were just mad dogging Big Ben, saying, like, hey, for Big Ben, his off-season program is, a yoga session and then hit the clubs at the golf course and then maybe a beer. It's like, man, these guys are just big time hating on Ben, which is understandable. He is a little older now, so he probably doesn't take care of his body a little bit more. But I just, man, hearing that Big Ben, it's only a 16-game commitment. To the other elite quarterbacks, it's only a year commitment. I'm like, well, last time I checked, Big Ben was still an elite quarterback. I don't know what happened.
He just he's just 1 year removed from a 5,000 passing yard season.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, right? What, he gets hurt 1 year?
Before the injury last year, he threw over 5,000 yards.
That's what I was kind of like. That's why I kind of look at some people that do talk about, football in general, and they actually get paid to do that. And I'm like, what? So 1 injury year, and all of a sudden he's not elite anymore? Like, okay, I guess he's not. I mean, wow.
I'm kind of happy though that everybody's kind of writing him off, and hopefully he's one of those players that use that and feed off of it, for motivation. I got Big Ben coming back winning most improved player.
I mean, what's that one GIF or GIF, however the young cool kids say it, the one where it's Big Ben and he kind of does the whole okay thing? I don't know if you ever seen that one.
Which one was it?
The one where you type in "oh okay" and it's like Big Ben on the sideline and he's just looking at the camera and he's like, "Oh really?"
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
I'm pretty sure that's like him, like hearing these guys talk about him, like, "Oh really? I'm not elite anymore. Oh okay, watch this. Hold on." Like, but yeah.
I mean, I think he's in a pretty good position. With Ebron and you got McDonald as his tight end. You got a healthy Juju, a second year Deontay. Hopefully James Washington can keep improving. And then if Chase Claypool can add anything to this wide receiver room, Big Ben with his big receivers, Martavis Bryant, Jeremy Autry, Plaxico Burns. I mean, he loves his big receivers. So
yeah, he does.
I mean, you got a healthy James Conner, McFarland. Hopefully, he can bring some contributions. We still got Benny Snell. Hopefully, he takes a bigger step going into his second year. I'm really excited with our offense coming back. Fully healthy, offensive line still pretty much intact. I don't know. I think a lot of people are counting this out. They're not really counting this out, but they're not giving us our credit.
I think that's what it is. It's just, it's kind of like an unbiased thing where it's like, oh, if your quarterback goes down, then your season's down to twos. But that's not necessarily true. There was a couple times I mentioned to a couple friends of mine where I said, if anybody deserves to win Coach of the Year, it should be Mike Tomlin, because he was dealt a bunch of second stringers, and they still ended up going 9-7.
Right.
And to put that into perspective, this year they're doing that 7th seed. If they would have done it last year, Pittsburgh would have been that 7th seed. So to put that into perspective, Mike Tomlin deserved that freaking Coach of the Year award more than just about anybody. Because it's easy, when you're Coach of the Year, when your team is 13-3 and this and that. But, when you got coaches like Mike Tomlin that can do what they do, he's just different. It's, how can I put it like where people understand? If you were the head coach of the Golden State Warriors from 2015 all the way to 2019, you could have been the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. It was not that hard. It is not that hard to coach the Warriors. It's not. Okay? Because Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Andre Iguodala. Not that hard. It is not that hard to be the head coach of the Golden State Warriors from that time period. To put into perspective, now, being the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, second half of the season, that's hard. And Mike Tomlin was the only man for that job at that point. So I'm going to give the dude his credit, man. He is one of the great coaches in the NFL, and he deserves anything. When his contract's up, it doesn't matter what he's asking for. The Steelers should just fork it up, dude. Just fork it up, man. Because I don't know any other guy that can take second string players and still have a winning record. So
yeah,
here
Mike Tomlin, awesome coach.
Yeah, so I mean, here we go. After your bye, week 9, you guys got to go to Dallas. That's going to be a fun one. That is going to be a really fun one. Week 10, you got the Bengals at home. Week 11, you guys got to go to Jacksonville. And then week 12, as mentioned before, Thanksgiving against the Ravens. It's the last one of the night, so everybody's going to be, sitting on the couch, unbuckling, they're putting another loop on their belt, getting into their sweatpants, their PJs, and everybody's going to be glued to the TV watching that game. So, I mean, I'm excited for that one. That's going to be a good game. Then the following week, week 13, you guys got to go to the Redskins, or you guys have a home game against the Redskins. This is kind of where I don't like your schedule. It is at the end. It's the Bills at Buffalo for Sunday Night Football. Then you got the Bengals week 15 at Cincinnati for Monday Night Football. That's final
another home game for us.
Yeah.
we own Paul Brown Stadium.
Oh man, stop it. Leave those guys alone, dude. Leave those guys alone.
I think Big Ben is the most winningest quarterback in Paul Brown Stadium.
Okay, hold on now, okay? Cut the Bengals some slack. They just moved in there 20 years ago, okay?
You know what? I would cut them some slack, but I think it's gonna get they're gonna get off to a rocky start. Just having Burrow, who's he learning from?
Okay, so that's what I was kind of gonna. That's what I was gonna go into the next segment, but I'm actually glad you brought that up. I thought the Bengals did a mistake. I thought they should have just kept Andy Dalton for at least one more year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who's their quarterback room besides Burrow?
I mean, that's a hell of a good question. I don't even know. I think that rookie from last year, Ryan Finley.
Yeah, but who's going to be his mentor? I mean, unless Burrow is really that guy and he comes in and it's a natural thing and he's a natural number 1 pick and he is what they say he is, then I can understand it. But I mean, if not, it could be kind of a Mitch Trubisky type thing.
Well, for me, it's just weird because you bring that a good point. Like, if he is a surefire thing, Aaron Rodgers was a surefire thing, and he still had to be the backup to Brett Favre for at least 4 years. Right. So I just think for me, it's just a shame how the NFL is shaped up. Like, if you're the number 1 pick, you're going to, like, I always say this. If you're a top 10 pick, you're going to play. You're going to start. Whether you're ready or not, you're going to play. And it's a shame how it is because I thought for sure they were going to keep Andy Dalton and, maybe use him for another year and then have Joe Burrow learn at least 1 year and then let Joe loose. Like kind of what they did with Carson when they drafted him in 2003. They had John Kitna. They made John Kitna the starter. Carson Palmer was the backup that whole season. And then his second year is when Carson Palmer took the reins for Cincinnati. But I just found that weird that, they tried to trade for him. They couldn't find a suitor. They tried to, do some other magic, and it just wasn't going to work. So my thing was either Andy Dalton wanted this or the Bengals, just being the Bengals, did another stupid decision. Again, like I don't know why they did that. I thought for sure bring in.
Yeah, that was a big mistake.
I mean, I understand Andy Dalton's not like the best quarterback, but he's certainly not the worst. I mean,
I'm even understanding of them even starting Joe Burrow, but at least having Andy Dalton there as a mentor for him. you keep Andy Dalton just in case of an injury, but more or less just, the locker room. You gotta, he's got to learn how to come in and be a leader, because now everybody's a professional. Everybody's their own business. So, you're not going to automatically demand respect just because you're a number one pick, Heisman winner.
Oh yeah, no.
That's something that's got to develop, and obviously your teammates got to trust you. So
because
I just think he has a tough road coming in, especially that organization. Never really been too fond of their moves. So, well, I mean, I like I said, I got us winning, of course, at Paul Brown Stadium.
It's just,
and I got us beating the Bills payback. That's more or less for a coaching perspective, because I know Mike Tomlin's going to go into that game licking his chops just to get revenge on his old pal, especially after that loss last year.
So you're calling it now?
That was all on our quarterback right there. Had we had a suitable quarterback, I think that Buffalo game last year would have been ours.
So you're calling it now? Pittsburgh is going to beat the Buffalo. Now. They're going to beat the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo on Sunday Night Football.
I got us winning Thanksgiving against Baltimore. I got us winning at home again against Washington. I got us winning on the road against Buffalo, and then at home pretty much again against the Bengals. I see us winning every game until the end of the season, to be honest.
Okay.
Indianapolis at home, and then Cleveland.
I mean, yeah, you got Indy week 16 at home, and then you end the year at Cleveland. Okay, look, it all sounds good, and I want to believe you. I'm just looking at it from a perspective of, okay, so Big Ben's not getting any younger. What games is he going to get hurt to where he doesn't come back for the rest of the year? Because I don't know, man. I just have this weird feeling that, he's going to have that injury where it's like he got hurt once. It's easy for him to get hurt again. He's not – I mean, he's still a great quarterback. It's just – I mean, for goodness sakes, if some practice pictures I saw last year, he looked like the freaking Michelin Man, dude. Eventually, your time's up, dude.
I'm just, we haven't seen any photos or anything of him probably in the last,
Give it
2.5 months, which is when he started throwing.
Give or take about 3 months. Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, so you got to figure, the last 3 months he's been off the grid. He's been able to throw. He's been able to work out. I believe in the competitor and the champion that he is. I don't think he's going to go out, with everybody writing him off, or else he would have just retired after that injury. I don't think he's going to go through all that, to come back from the injury, going through rehab, working out, getting back into shape, at his age, just to, come back and not be similar to what he was, if not maybe where he was at, just because of the rest, not taking that pounding.
So you don't think he pulls an Andrew Luck? You don't think he pulls an Andrew Luck like halfway through preseason and says, hey, you know what? I can't do this. I'll see you guys later.
I don't. Just because he's a champion.
Okay.
I do not see him doing that just because he's a champion.
I mean, it's just
I just think he probably knows he has something to prove to himself, which is why he's coming back. But like I said, we got a pretty solid offensive line. If they can keep him protected, it wasn't an injury that was inflicted, on him. He had a freak elbow injury.
But those are like 1 in a million freak accidents. You know what I mean?
And that's fixed. So, in the time that it took for the elbow to heal, that means all, the lingering little injuries, the bruises, all that stuff. He's had, over a year to heal now?
Roughly. Oh, yeah. And he's not going to play preseason, so we can forget about that. Maybe he'll take a snap or two, but that's about it.
Rehearsal, the third game, he'll probably play 2 drives.
That's what I'm saying. At least, I would say no more than 4 throws. No more. At that point, it's like, hey, you're good. Don't worry about it. Now, it was interesting what you brought up. Should, Big Ben get hurt? If Cam Newton's there,
Sign him.
you said sign him, right?
Sign him.
Because, I was talking to Roy about this a few days ago when we did the AFC one, the AFC West schedule. And I told him, like, look, man, I understand Cam Newton's out there, but there's a reason he's probably out there still unsigned. Maybe it's because he's asking for way out of his price range. It was just a couple days ago where he says he's willing to take a backup job now. Well, yeah, you're going to have to, because all these teams have their players in motion. They already have their programs ready to go with the guys they got. So, at this point, Cam will be a backup. It's just the three teams I had him going to was New England. There was one where it was New England. The second one was Jacksonville, but now that's out of the water because they signed Mike Glennon to be the backup to Gardner Minshew. And the third team was you guys, was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, people looked at me crazy, but it's like, dude, we got Mason Rudolph and Doug Hodges. It's like, yeah, but they're nothing like, okay, you got them two or you got Cam Newton. Come on. Now, who's the better backup?
Here's the flip side to that coin. If Big Ben were to get hurt early in the season, right? Would it be smart for us to just ride it out with Mason and Doug Hodges and try to get a number one pick?
Yeah, okay, but if you got
obviously.
If Big Ben does get hurt early in the year and you guys want to tank for that number one pick, what quarterback would you take out one?
Right. That's true.
I mean, okay, I understand. The kid from Clemson, he's going to come out. The kid from Georgia, he's going to come out. But how can I say this? I mean, look, the guy from Clemson, he's really good. It's just, is he number one material? Maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, maybe. The kid from Georgia that transferred, to Georgia, he's got a nice arm, but I don't know that much about him yet to, maybe be the number one pick. So it's like, that sounds nice. Okay, you have the number one pick, but what do you do with it? You're not going to, look, this year's quarterback class is probably going to be worse than last year's. Okay, 2021, the quarterback class doesn't look like it's going to match up to this year's draft class, with the Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, and some of the other guys that got picked up later, like Jalen Hurts, Jacob Eason, Jake Fromm, James Morgan. Those are already 6 quarterbacks who are probably going to be starters or career backups for the rest of their career. There's quarterbacks in this that you take in the first round, and the best they're going to be is a backup. I mean, now unless
I'm not against signing Cam. He just turned 31. He's had a quite a while to get his body right, healthy again. I still think he's an elite quarterback.
I think
he's probably got 4 years left of prime.
I think at this point, if you're a team that does need a backup, now's probably the right time to get Cam Newton, because, I mean, I could think of look, New England. If he goes to New England, he's starting. He's starting right there. He's going to start. That's it. He's going to start. Now, if he goes to teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, just a bunch of other teams out there, he's going to be the backup. He's going to be the backup. I can honestly see him going another team, Arizona, be the mentor to Kyler Murray. I mean, because, yeah, Brett Hundley's a nice backup, but is he really the mentor you want for Kyler Murray? Maybe.
No, not at all.
But, I mean, Cam Newton, I think right now he could be a backup anywhere. He deserves that much at least. Like, For him to still be unsigned, it's a joke. Just sign the guy. He doesn't have to play for you guys. Just sign him for insurance. Because at least now it's like, hey, I have a former NFL MVP as my backup. So he must know something about the game, It's just,
Yep.
so I don't know if, New England, Pittsburgh, those are probably the last two teams I could think him going to be a backup. Maybe Arizona, because a bunch of other teams, they already got their backups. Like looking at it from a whole, they already got their backups. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see where, Cam signs. But the next question for you, what's your prediction on your schedule this year? Realistically, what is the best case scenario for your Pittsburgh Steelers?
Best case scenario?
Best case scenario. Like we're talking everything went your way. Every call, every bounce, everything. What is the best case scenario?
12-4.
Okay. Now let's go worst case scenario. Like Big Ben gets hurt again. The quarterbacks don't match up again. What's the worst case scenario?
Worst case scenario, Big Ben gets hurt. We don't sign Cam. We stick it out with, Mason and Doug. I would say 8-8.
8-8. That's a far cry from 12-4. Well, here we go. The best case scenario for you guys. Yeah, I'm gonna agree. 12-4. 12-4. I mean, look, those first 7 weeks, other than the Broncos, the Titans, and the Eagles, and the Ravens, you guys can pretty much finish 5-2, 6-1. Maybe you'll get lucky and finish 7-0 before you head into your bye week. And then, the only tough schedule is 3 out of your last 4 games are on the road. In the middle of the schedule, you got Thanksgiving, and then you guys got like short games back to back to back. But if you guys overcome all that and Big Ben's healthy, 12-4. Now, if Big Ben goes down, it all depends on what the other two do. And if Cam's not signed, I don't see it getting any better. I'm actually going to go 6-10 for you guys for worst case scenario, because it's just the way the schedule played out and the way like the schedule makers gave you like your days and everything. And the fact that you're on the road a lot at the end of the year, I think worst case would be 6-10. It's just too much, I think, for anybody to overcome that. Now, I could be wrong. Mike Tomlin might surprise us again and do his thing and maybe make you guys go 9-7 again. Who knows? But it's just, I don't know. And that's all it is. It's just your defense is ready to go. Your offense is ready to go. It's just Big Ben has to be there weeks 1 through 17. He's got to be there. Or else it's kind of like, okay, now what? Then that's when all the questions start getting asked. So I got to go, 6-10 worst case. And, again, 12-4 for, best case scenario. I mean,
yeah,
it's too tough. It's too tough. But I do agree with you on that aspect of, signing Cam to, be the backup just in case. It's just, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with Cam. So here we go. Moving on to your other favorite team in the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns. So here we go. Week 1. Oh, we got a comment from Jonathan Avalos. The Steelers' best case scenario, 9-7. Ouch. 9-7 from Jonathan Avalos. 9-7. All right, David, you want to respond to that? Because I think this is more of a for you question.
Yeah, I think he's right. Raiders will probably go about 9-7 basically.
I think he meant the Steelers, but I get you. Yeah, Yeah, I get you.
I thought it was a confession.
No, I think you meant your Steelers, but yeah, maybe the Raiders go 9-7 at best. I'm hoping. A man could dream. And then here
That's what I heard.
another comment. Big Ben is done. So I don't think he's done. It's just that freak accident injury thing that happened to him. That's like a 1 in a million chances that it happens to anybody's. It just happened to happen to him. So
yeah, but I mean, any day of the week, I'll take a Big Ben coming off of an injury than a check down Charlie and Derek Carr. So.
Oh my God! Unless Big Ben's wheelchair can run a 4.2 ish, it's over. Ouch, Jonathan! Enough with the Big Ben bashing. Jesus, man, he's not dying. He's just hurt. Oh my God! I mean, you know what? Look, the only thing I hope for Carr this year, man, is just. I understand it's a system that, hey, if nothing's there, check it down. I'm all cool with that. But now that you got the fast receivers out on the outside, you better make something happen, or something's got to change, man. But that's another discussion for another time. But here we go. Cleveland Browns, week 1, they got to go to Baltimore. Week 2, the first Thursday night football game against the Bengals. So, and look, after this whole coronavirus, I will never take another Browns versus Bengals Thursday night football game for granted ever again. I will never take that for granted again. I'm going to love all these Thursday night football games, no matter how terrible they are. I mean, that's a lie. I'm going to complain about them, because it was a terrible game, but I'm not going to take it for granted, is what I meant to say. Week 3, they stay home against the Redskins. Week 4, they got to go to Dallas. Week 5, they got the Colts. Week 6, they got to go to Pittsburgh. Week 7, they got to go to Cincinnati. Week 8, the Raiders go to the Dog Pound, and then their Week 9 is their bye. And again, as always, don't worry, David. The Raiders will help you out against the Browns because it seems like you can never sweep them. You know what I mean? So we'll help you out. That way you can take a little pressure off the Browns. Sound fair?
I hope so.
But I mean, looking at the Browns,
counting on help from you guys.
So the first 8 weeks, I mean, it looks like a 50-50 for the Browns. I mean, yeah, the Ravens are tough. The Bengals on Thursday night, we don't know how they're going to be. You got Washington, who just went number 2 overall, but now they got Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio, as the head coach, defensive coordinator. That's going to be interesting. Dallas is now a new offensive machine. We don't know what the Colts are going to look like with Phillip Rivers there. Again, if Big Ben's there against the Steelers, that's a no chance. The Bengals at week 7, that's always a 50-50 with them. And then the Raiders, well, again, like you said, I mean, the Carr is on a very short leash, and no pun intended, because we're playing the Browns on week 8, but he is on a very short leash. So the second he starts, screwing around or messing up, I would not be surprised, honestly, if by this time, if Carr's just looking bad, I would not be surprised if Mariota is the starting quarterback for that game for against the Browns. It's just what I'm thinking right now, because, the Raiders have an early bye. They have it on week 5 or 6, and it's kind of like, okay, man, you only have these 5 games to prove yourself. I mean, if Mariota got benched after a 2-4 start, it's looking like the same fate for Carr. So, I mean, you have to try. You didn't sign him just to be the bench dude. You brought him in for his intrigue. So we'll see. As I mentioned, week 9 is their bye. I can personally see, at best, at this point for the Browns, 4-4 or, 3-5, but they're going to be there. I think they're actually going to really compete this year. I think they did fix their offensive line issues by drafting Jedrick Willis, getting Jack Conklin from the Titans. They got J.C. Treader as their center. Clip Bowling is going to be the left guard. I think they fixed their offensive line issues, which was the issue for the Browns last year. So they fixed that. Their defense is still good, and they still have all those weapons on offense. So I think the Browns are going to be a team where, yeah, they're going to hang around and they're going to be very competitive this year. They might not win a lot, but they're not going to go down without a fight. So let's see. Week 9 is their bye. Week 10, they got the Texans at home. Week 11, they got the Eagles at home. Week 12 and 13, they got to go back-to-back on the road. Week 12 against the Jaguars. Week 13 at the Titans. Week 14, they got the Monday Nighter against Baltimore. Weeks 15 and 16, back-to-back at New York. They got to play the Giants on Week 15. Week 16, they got the Jets. And Week 17, they finish out the year at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think best case scenario, 8-8. Worst case, 6-10. But to me, that's kind of like a hell of improvement from where they were at last year. And I think I just think the Browns are actually going to be competing this year. I think they're going to actually have, a competitive year this year. I mean, they did the right moves. They drafted the right guys. Now it's just up to them to put it together. And hopefully the Browns do something. What you think, David?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, remember, the Browns are, when they're on, they're on. But then when they're off, they're totally off. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes for the Browns. So, I say best, 9-7, worst 6-10, 7-9. Just flip-flop it. But they're going to be competitive, at least I think. So, here we go. The last team of the night, the Cincinnati Bengals. So here we go. Week 1, they got a home game against the Chargers. And hopefully, as I mentioned to Roy, hopefully Justin Herbert versus Joe Burrow week 1. And I'll go back to it. Had Oregon not lost to Auburn that week 1 in college football, Oregon would have been in the playoffs, and they would have played LSU and over Oklahoma, and that would have been one hell of a game. Oregon versus LSU. I think LSU would have taken it, but to see Justin Herbert versus, Joe Burrow in college, and then, seeing them in the pros week 1, ratings are up, But hopefully that's the case this year. So we'll see. And then week 2 and 3 is they got to go back-to-back on the road. Mentioned again, they got to go to the Browns for Thursday night. Eagles week 3 at Philadelphia. Then they get the Jaguars at home for week 4. Then back-to-back on the road again. Week 5, they got the Ravens at Baltimore. Then they got the Colts at Indianapolis. Week 7 and 8, they finish at home. Back-to-back homestands against the Browns and the Tennessee Titans. This is going to be an interesting one for the Bengals because I would love to give them a rating or a schedule like best and worst. It's just I haven't seen Joe Burrow played yet. So Andy Dalton's not there no more. But again, they still have some nice pieces. They still have A.J. Green. They drafted T. Higgins. Joe Mixon is a hell of a running back for Cincinnati. So I just want to see what Joe Burrow's got before I even throw predictions out there. Week 9 is their bye. Weeks 10 and 11 after their bye, they're back on the road 2 games in a row. At Pittsburgh week 10, at Washington week 11. They get the Giants at home. Then they got the Dolphins at Miami week 13. So hopefully that's Tua versus Joe Burrow again. That would be nice. Week 14 and week 15, back-to-back home games. 14 against Dallas at home. Week 15, they got the Steelers at home. Week 16, they got to go to Houston. And then week 17, they finish the year with the Ravens at home. So I would love to give a prediction for the Bengals. I just don't know what – I don't know what Joe Burrow is. I really don't know. I really have to check him out in preseason. And there's going to be a lot of games in preseason this year where it involves Joe Burrow.
Bengals, best case scenario, 6-10.
Wow, best case?
Yeah, 6-10.
Oh my God. All right, David, what's the worst case?
Worst case scenario, 2-15.
Again? 2-14? No. They'll win more than 2 games.
Okay, wait. I got them winning 6 games. Best case scenario, 3 games. Worst case scenario, 3-13.
Oh, they'll win more than 3 games. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Let's see here. I think they could beat the Redskins. I think they can beat the Giants. And maybe with a little luck, they can beat the Dolphins and the Texans. I think so. Chargers, maybe not. Browns, maybe not. Philadelphia, no. Maybe they can win Jacksonville. So, I mean, that's already 5 games right there. I think worst case, I agree with you. 6-10. Worst case, 5-11. Just 1 game difference is what I see. I think the Bengals they're going to win their games. It's just going to be a tough year for Joe Burrow year 1. And then I think they're still going to keep adding the pieces to him for year 2, and they'll just get better and better as the years go on. I think that's the plan. But, I mean, we'll see. I've seen weirder stuff, so we'll see how this goes. So, again, this was the AFC North. Tomorrow we have the NFC South. Now, that's going to be a heck of a division this year. I mean, David, what's your thoughts on that one? The NFC South, the division of the quarterbacks, as people like to call it.
Who do you have in that one?
The NFC South tomorrow. I mean, that's the division of the quarterbacks, or so I hear. They got Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Teddy Bridgewater, and Matt Ryan. I mean, that's a hell of a division right there.
I mean, I got Tampa Bay winning the division.
Oh, no way. You got Tampa winning?
Yeah, dude. I mean, that offense is going to be something to see.
I mean, look, the Saints are still the chance. So until something else otherwise, I got to go with the Saints. Because remember, it's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for everybody. Look, Tampa Bay's, let's call it what it is. They've never really had a quarterback of this caliber ever in their franchise history. Ever. Okay? They've never seen this many offensive weapons before. I think what could happen is they could be a trap, and it could be another Browns situation. Yes, I get it. They got protection for Tom Brady. But what people don't fail to realize is their most experienced lineman has only been there for 5 years. So, I don't know. I really have to see if this offensive line holds up. Maybe they can compete with the Saints for the division title. Until then, it doesn't matter who's back there at quarterback, as we saw last year. Jameis seemed like he was getting rushed to throw the ball. That's why his interception count was so high. And, Tom Brady is not, he's not 35. He's going to turn 43 when the season starts. So, the last quarterback I saw play, at that age, his last game, he was in street clothes, and that was Brett Favre. So, I mean, I don't know. I really have to see how this looks because Tom Brady's not young anymore. Drew Brees is still king of that division until otherwise. And it's just tougher. It's not the AFC East, what a lot of these Buccaneer fans have to understand, or what a lot of Patriot fans that transferred to Tampa Bay have to understand. It's not the AFC East. They're not going to roll over dead because it's Tom Brady. All these teams these teams had recent success. Carolina was in the Super Bowl not that long ago. The Falcons were in the Super Bowl not that long ago. The Saints are like 2 blown calls away to go back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. This is not the AFC East. This is the NFC South, where the defenses are just a little better than the NFC or the AFC East. So I don't think it's a shoe-in from what a lot of people are thinking.
Precision passer like Brady and you surround them with weapons. You got Evans, You got
Godwin,
Gronk. You got Godwin. You got Brady, OJ Howard.
And then you got Ronald Jones back there for the running back situation. So I get it. This is probably going to be his best offensive unit.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Evans and Godwin both going over 1,000 yards this season.
Again? Because they did it last year. You think they could do it again?
Yeah. Oh. They're gonna do it again.
Oh man. Look, I want to believe in the Buccaneers. It's just I have to see it first because I have seen, and I say this very cautiously, I've seen super teams be built only to go 7-9, 8-8, and then by 2 years they dismantle everything. So I've seen it. It's just, my flip to it is Tom Brady's not getting younger. He's still a good quarterback. He's still a great quarterback. He's just not getting younger. I don't know how that offensive line is going to be any better from last year to this year because, yeah, they added a great stud, but that's just one piece. Look, if Jameis Winston can go 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, I'm sure Tom Brady can do 30 touchdowns and maybe half of those, maybe 8 interceptions or 10 interceptions at most. It's just for me, I have to go with history here and be like, look, I've seen a quarterback play over the age of 43 one time, and his career ended up being inactive and on street clothes, and that was Brett Favre. So I have to see it to believe it until, until they actually can prove to us that they're going to win. And like I mentioned, it's not the AFC East. I'm sure these teams respect Tom Brady, but they're not going to roll over like the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins did all those 20-plus years when he was up there. So this is a different division where all these coaches, they want to win and they want to win right now. So it's just, and really looking at it, Sean Payne, his record against Sean Payne, average. His record against the Panthers, average. His record against the Falcons is the only one in that division where he has a winning record. So overall, it's not like, oh, Tom Brady came in, he's going to take the division over. No, he's going to have to, fight some of his own demons too where, hey, I got to beat these guys because, I have a winning record by like a game or two, and that's about it, So it's going to be interesting, but right now for me, my money's still on the Saints.
We'll see.
But I'm excited. I'm excited for that matchup. So, but I want to thank everybody that tuned in today. Tomorrow, as clearly you just heard, we're going to talk about the NFC South. We got the Saints, we got the Falcons, Panthers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's going to be exciting. I want to thank everybody who joined on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. David, I want to thank you again for being a guest on this show again. And, hopefully when this is all over, we get to hang out and get a beer and watch a game or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, man, we need to go back to some normal lives too.
Right.
But, David, I want to thank you again for being a guest today, my man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Signing off.
All right. Thank you, David. Have a good night, man.
All right, man.
All right. You guys have a wonderful night, too. Was there any questions on the thing? No? We are good. All right. Then we are good to go. We will see you guys tomorrow for the NFC South. Have a good night, everybody.